Well, not the best way to lose if you're the Tampa Bay Rays.
No, very wild indeed. Let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also reach out to us anytime. Send us a voice memo or email to lockedonrays@gmail.com. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays lose in very unfortunate fashion to the Texas Rangers by a score of 3-2 on a wild pitch in the bottom of the ninth by one Pete Fairbanks. The good old yanking 100-mile-per-hour fastball to the backstop.
I mean, it's just so deflating. They didn't even do anything. Yeah. They didn't do anything. The Rangers didn't do anything.
They got a runner to third, though, which maybe put pressure on Pete Fairbanks to be really dialed in and locked down. So.
Fair enough. I'll take that back. Moving the runner, things that analytical people are not into. Productive outs. Nathaniel Lowe. Good for you, man. Also, tremendous mustache on Nathaniel Lowe. Really good mustache. It's very tough to pull off the mustache by itself. I think Nathaniel is doing that. But yeah, productive out. Move the runner to third. And then a yank ball. But Mitch Garver didn't have to do anything. He just didn't have to swing at a pitch that was 48 feet, from home plate and completely to his right. Man, deflating. That's the way that I can describe it. Deflating.
Especially since the Rays had taken a 2-0 lead. You have Yandy Diaz back in the fold. You have Randy Arozarena getting the action started. Josh Lowe putting it to his brother in the Texas Rangers by hitting a home run. You have Shane McClanahan, who at one point retired 14 consecutive Rangers. And then the game got tied up by one Ezekiel Duran, who that's just a case of sometimes the other guys get paid too, and sometimes the other guys are pretty good too, where he takes a 1-2 count from Shane McClanahan, a fastball that's dialing up in a way out of the zone at 97 miles per hour fastball at 97 miles per hour. Duran takes it the other way. And there's really nothing you can do about that. That's just an amazing performance of hitting from Duran. And
yeah, you can't say it was a cookie down the middle. He executed the pitch that he wanted to. The Duran, I don't know who said this, but maybe it was you. The other guys drive nice cars too. I don't know. I think maybe David Sampson too. But yeah, dude, he also has a job to do, and he did it.
Yeah, and he's having a great year, by the way. Not bad for a number 8 hitter, batting 300 with 12 home runs and an 850 OPS and 129 OPS plus. And then you have the bullpen, the Rays bullpen, until Pete Fairbanks, that keeps the Rays in the game. You have, for example, Colin Poche getting back-to-back 3-pitch strikeouts. A runner gets to second. Then he retires Corey Seager on a pop fly. So being able to get outs in different ways and show some moxie and some gumption to get through that. And it looked like the Rays were going to, battle and maybe have a chance. And then you have the top of the ninth happen with Aroldis Chapman, and then the bottom of the ninth happen, of course, with Pete Fairbanks.
Can I be honest?
Sure.
When Aroldis Chapman looked like he did, I was like, "There's no way the Rays are going to win this game."
Yeah. That's why the Rangers go out and get a guy like that, because they have sights and visions on winning a World Series, and that's the type of guy you need to bolster your roster to get to that goal, get to that point. I mean,
he looks Cincinnati Reds not how when he was with the Yankees, like BA said on the broadcast, that he would just lose the strike zone. No, not at all. He's just pinpointing. I mean, the pitches that he's doing 103 on the dot on the bottom of the zone. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Nothing. And he's such an intimidating guy on the mound. And yeah, that's what you need at the back end of your bullpen, that type of talent. You can say anything that you want about the human being, but within the white lines, he's doing his job. And the Texas Rangers chose to do that, to go get him. I'm okay with not getting him. But I do think that the Rangers getting that type of arm lets everybody know that, hey, we identified our weakness, we identified our flaw, and this is the way that we can kind of shore that up. Because if you look on Fangraphs on multiple categories relating to bullpen, the Rays and the Rangers have had so-so bullpens, mediocre or even below mediocre.
Right.
Throughout the whole season. I don't want the people that are just, rose-colored glasses to always be like, well, since June 1st, well, that's not the season. They've been mediocre. And so the Rangers said, you know what, let's do something about it. Let's get Aroldis Chapman. The Rays went ahead and got Jake Diekman and Robert Stevenson, and that has been working out fine. But it seems like the Rays might be done with the bullpen, which kind of scares me, because Andrew Kittredge, as good as he was, man, he's coming back from a very, very tough injury.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we'll probably get to that later on with Yonny Chirinos. Guys, after injuries, you sometimes don't know what you're going to get. You can't just say, oh, when we get this guy back in 15, 18, 12 months, that he's going to be as good, if not better, than he was before. That is not always the case. Things change, things happen, players are not the same oftentimes. And Aroldis Chapman probably has a new lease on life playing for a competitor now, formerly being with the Royals. And he was really, really good with the Royals, but now he's probably even more dialed in and dialed up. And I'll be really curious to see if the Rangers go out and try to find another arm, another starter-esque to replace Jacob deGrom, who went down with season-ending injury there. But I mean, it seems like their 1, 2, 3 as of right now seems to hold fort. But if they really, really want to bolster themselves up, they could go out and take that option. But they definitely have drawn their line and set their position of, we have a ball club that we think can compete for a World Series. And testament to them for going out and identifying a need and getting it early, not vacillating, not waiting around. Oh, let's wait until July 30th, July 29th, July 31st. No,
right.
let's go out and help ourselves right now and intimidate some folks. So credit to them for going out and doing that. And Aroldis Chapman, when he's on, he's off the field issues aside, he's basically a Hall of Fame level player as far as a closer goes. So that's really tough from that perspective. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell you something very important, and that is Game Time. Game Time, if you did not know, is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It is the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. It's very easy. All you have to do is get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you are completely set. And then tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. LOCKEDONMLB. Download Game Time today. Last-minute ticket deals, lowest price guaranteed. Speaking of pitchers, it was, I guess you could say, a somber time if you're a Rays fan and a longtime dedicated Rays fan, as the organization parted ways with Yonny Chirinos, who literally has been a lifer pretty much with the Rays. He's been in the organization since, I believe, 2012 and has been in the majors since 2018, believe it or not. And this year, again, alluding to pitchers aren't always the same. They're not always as good as they once were before a major injury, major surgery, what have you. Yanni Trinos just didn't have it this season, and the Rays were in a tough spot because they had to bring Shane McClanahan back in the fold after the IL stint.
Yeah, and it's a shame. We like Johnny, of course. I've always given him the Venezuelan bump, as you know, but he didn't have it, man. He didn't have it this year. He was unstable. Just the strikeout rate was kind of non-existent, really. And you need to get some outs through the whiffs because well, it happens yesterday, right? I mean, you get productive outs and you get into a situation where you need to strike somebody out, and he wasn't able to do that. And I know that he came back from injury and they tried to give him the whole bulk thing and some spot starts. The spot starts were usually not that great. The bulk ones were better. But in the end, the aggregate was just not there, the results for Yanni, and it's a shame. So what? He's been DFA'd. Perhaps he can stay, if not claimed by anybody else. But yeah, it seems like this is the end for that relationship.
Yeah, and I had pretty high expectations for him coming into the season and really thought that he was going to be a really strong part of this team. And then after the injuries to Jeffrey Springs and Drew Rasmussen, that opened up a lane for him to really be a significant contributor, which again, let's not just go and say, oh man, can't wait till we get Drew back. Can't wait till we get Springs back. Can't wait till we get Boz back. Like, we also have to have some patience and realize that these guys might not be the same. They might be different players and have different repertoires and just might not be as effective. But it seemed like with Yanni, I mean, the overall thing with him was the velo wasn't there. The movement wasn't there. The command wasn't there. He was hit really hard. I mean, if you look at his Savant page, I mean, whether it was a home run or a line drive or a ground ball, like past the diving walls, you don't hear that very often. So when balls get hit past Taylor Walls, that's not a really good sign for the pitcher there. Not missing bats, of course. And then, like you mentioned, not striking guys out. And it seemed like when he was really in his prime a couple years ago, and he had the trident repertoire working, the sinker, the slider, and what am I missing? The cutter. Is that what it was?
I think so.
They really diverged and worked well off of each other, and it seemed like he was most effective when he was keeping the ball low down in the zone. And it just seemed like this year things were elevated and getting away from him and hanging, and that allowed guys like I don't know, for example, Drew Waters to take him deep and take advantage. Dude,
Drew Waters just did whatever he wanted. But that sinker was so good because it was like BA said, like a bowling ball. It's just so heavy down in the zone, and then you can't do anything else but ground it out. He didn't really have that this year. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. But I think it all comes back to what you said there with the command and the control of his pitches. If you don't have that, you already don't have a 95, 98 mile an hour, fastball or whatever.
Yeah.
And you get hit hard. That means that they're creating that exit velo from being in their sweet spot, in their barrel spot. The hitters are. Because if Shane McClanahan or Tyler Glasnow get a hard hit rate that's not as likable, you can understand that because they're already providing a 98 mile an hour fastball. Mm-hmm. They're already providing a triple digit fastball. So of course that force is already there. But when you're not doing that and they're hitting you hard, that just tells you that that's poor location, and it's really good location for the hitters to just do whatever they want. And that's exactly what happened with Yanni this whole year. It's a shame, man. I really like the guy. Hopefully he can get picked up somewhere. But yeah, it seems like that this is it. This is all she wrote.
Yeah, and just to note here, his strikeout rate of 11.8% this year is barely half of the 22.7% mean for major league hurlers this year.
That's rough.
So he's about half as effective at striking out guys as the average major leaguer, if you will. But again, only 29 years old. I think there's maybe it might just be a case of him needing more time and finding a new role, new home, and getting a change of scenery. Maybe not so much pressure at this time. Maybe just go to a laughing stock team. I don't know. Maybe the Royals or the Athletics. Somebody picks him up, and he can kind of do his own thing for a little bit and reestablish his value. Look, just because the Rays part with him does not mean he can't find success or be successful elsewhere. I know the Rays are pitching ninjas, pitching wizards, but there's been many guys who have left the organization one way or the other that have found success and thrived with other organizations.
Yeah, of course there is. But so now let's look at the rotation before the trade deadline. You've got Shane McClanahan, Zach Eflin, Tyler Glasnow, Tosh Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that fifth spot going to?
They just take the day off. I have no idea.
Cooper Criswell?
It's a bullpen day, right? I mean,
Cooper Criswell, bullpen day.
Bullpen bulk day.
I mean, if you're talking just straight up bullpen day, we'll say goodbye to any World Series aspirations on July 18th, because then you're just going to run that bullpen down. Like, I don't want to hear it. If the people that are like, no, you got to save the starters' bullets. How about that bullpen? So you're just going to have the bullpen just be the fifth starter on July 18th till what, October?
The bullpen's already shaky as it is, and you're going to add that much more to them. Some sort of move has to be done at some point, which again, it kind of, I don't know if it surprises me, but whether they're good innings or bad innings, you got to have a Joe Blanton. You have to have somebody who can carve up, eat up some innings, even if it's, giving up, 4 earned runs and 4 2/3. So
maybe not as bad as Johnny, but something, so a Michael Wacha-ish type guy, from 21, which was very frustrating to watch.
Right.
I don't know who was more frustrating to watch, Yanni this year or Michael Wacha in 21. Maybe recency bias will hit us hard, but I want to hear you guys in the comments. What was more frustrating for you to watch?
I would say Wacha, just because we knew how ineffective the cutter was, and he kept using the cutter. It's like, stop using the cutter. There's no need to use this thing. You can at least get by and work things out on with the rest of what you have. But so that's what I would say. And then he wound up finding success elsewhere later on as well. Like, at least we can understand it from Trenos of coming back from injury and just not having the stuff there anymore. And I guess Wacha had more of an established career, and there was a lot of thought of, man, he's really going to be something in a Rays uniform. But
well, going back to this, so obviously the bullpen has been the biggest flaw throughout the season, but now we have begun for the last 3, maybe even 3 weeks or maybe a month, to kind of notice that the starting rotation is also hurting the bullpen. With their inability to go deep in the games, and with all the injured starters. But you can't cry about Springs and Rasmussen too much, because other teams also have their rotation split. I mean, come on. The Rangers lost Jacob deGrom, arguably the best pitcher in the league. They're doing fine. So where's that depth coming from? Are we seeing more Cooper Criswells? Is Montgomery, Seymour? Are these names that we're going to be seeing? Is it going to be on the contrary? Is it going to be a Lance Lynn situation? Can they pull off something like that with the White Sox? I don't know.
It might be at least until you get closer to the trade deadline and the Rays get their ducks in a row. It might be whoever that Dietrich ends is with AAA Durham, calling him up and giving him a couple shots and a couple bolts and seeing what he can do. By the way, Michael Wacha, what makes it more frustrating is the numbers that he put up with Boston and San Diego, respectively, the last couple of years. 3.32 ERA with Boston in 2022, 2.84 ERA with San Diego this year. He's basically, I mean, pitching like an all-star with the Padres. But I'm glad you brought up
to see if the cutter if the cutter usage has gone down in Boston.
And again, maybe I think it was a case of like, I'm a pro. I can almost having arrogance in that even though it's not working, I can get it to work and I'm good enough to get it to work. And maybe the idea was, hey, I've got to have some sort of kitchen sink aspect to my game. So I'm going to throw in Weasel in this pitch every now and again. But it definitely got taken advantage of more than not, seemingly. But I'm glad you brought up the starting rotation, because you mentioned, I mean, the 1 through 4. There's still questions about Taj Bradley. He's still young. He's still a rookie. He hasn't had a good start for a month. I mean, if you're including the All-Star break, he's been beaten up really sorely by the Braves, the Mariners, and the Diamondbacks, respectively. And things aren't getting any easier when you're facing the Texas Rangers on the road with that lineup, with those All-Stars. Now, maybe this is a chance for him to look at what Shane McClanahan and the bullpen did and say, okay, I can build off that. That is kind of a stepping stone for saying they got these guys out. It can be done, but not an easy role or situation for Taj Bradley nonetheless, especially since it's been such a long time since he's had a confidence building outing. And
I get that if you're looking to October, he's not going to make a postseason start. We understand that because on paper, everybody's going to be healthy. McClanahan, Eflin, Glasnow. That's your 3. Those are the guys that are going to get the ball for you in October. Bradley goes back to the bullpen, and everything's fine. But you still need to get to October. It's July 18th. I do think that you need a reliable arm. Somebody, I know we've mentioned Greinke. Some people are like, he's so washed up. Oh my, how dare you say Greinke to a World Series caliber team like the Rays? Like, you need to have somebody to pitch the innings, people. And not everybody can have Shane McClanahan type numbers that you give the ball to. Like, that's just not feasible. Now, it could have been if Jeffrey Springs and Drew Rasmussen didn't get hurt, that maybe then yeah, but they did get hurt. And so now you need to get somebody. You need to get somebody for that rotation. Honestly, right now, if you were to be told you need to make one move to improve this team, Kevin, but you can only choose the bullpen or the starting rotation, what do you do?
Now, is this a top flight talent or just sort of a stopgap, get you through the regular season?
Whatever you think is right for this team.
I mean, logistically speaking, I think the idea of the Rays getting a big name probably won't happen, although there's reports that the Rays, they do have the prospect equity to make that happen and go for it. I think it maybe be a little bit different case if they were healthier, but it's tough. I think you need a starter. You need somebody that can give you innings, and whether it's in the regular season or the playoffs, I have reservations and concerns about Taj Bradley the rest of the season and in the playoffs. That's just me. So now that knocks you down to 3 guys, assuming those guys can stay healthy.
Right.
Eflin, McClanahan.
That's
Glasnow.
no depth.
Each of those have had their issues in the past. So I think you need another veteran-esque player. Maybe it's not Zach Greinke, but and I know, shooting for the sky of like an Alex Cobb, kind of split the difference between a Greinke and a Cobb and see what you can land. If that type of player is out there.
Giolito.
I still think that's the name brings. I don't know if that's feasible just with the name recognition, but
he's a rental though. So it's not going to be too expensive, right? It shouldn't be. Again, Nelson Cruz was, Joe Ryan. So I agree with you. I think right now it's the starting rotation that needs it, because if you,
I think Giolito would probably, I guess would Giolito fetch more value than Alex Cobb? I guess Alex Cobb, he's another year on his contract, does he not?
He has one more year in that contract, yeah. But I don't know. I just feel like we all hope that the three guys will be healthy. Rasmussen, Eflin, Glasnow, and McClanahan. But after that, you can't tell me Bradley is great depth. He's got great stuff. He has a great future. But right now, you can't really trust him, can you? And I don't even want you to say Seymour, Montgomery, or Criswell for bleep's sake. If you think that this is a World Series contender, that can't be your only depth. You need something thicker than that. You need somebody more experienced. If you don't think that you need somebody more experienced, then you probably were not a fan in 2021 of these Rays. What happened when you put guys like Boz and Rasmussen, young guys, in the brightest of lights? When you threw in Shane McClanahan in a relief role? Not good. Not good. You need some thump. I think a guy like Giolito would be fantastic. I don't know if the Rays are going to go to that point, just because it might part with some prospects that they really like. But I don't know. I feel like you need to make a move. I think you need to make a move. I think you need to make a Nelson Cruz type move for this team to be successful in October.
No, I don't disagree. And we see what the Rangers are doing and seeing what other teams are doing. I mean, the Rays are getting caught up to. It's been a long time since 13-0. I mean, if we're listing the top 3, top 5 World Series contenders, it seems like by the day, the Rays are slowly slipping and sliding just based on the month of July that they've had thus far. But in a perfect world, I would love the big name, the all-star caliber name. But at this point, I'm just looking for a veteran who has shown an ability to stay healthy, that can chomp up innings, and that has playoff experience. I know that's a lot of variables there, but somebody that can, fill most of those boxes, that checks those marks there.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, they get to do something. The trade deadline is coming. What is it, in 12, 13 days or something like that? It's coming. It's coming real soon. So hopefully they can do something like that, because this team does need help right now.
Yes.
I know the record is really good, 60-37, but you still need some reinforcements.
I just have a wonder if one more injury happens or another unproductive player or two, if the Rays just say, nah, we're just going to more or less hold fort.
Yeah, that could happen too.
That's the point I was sort of trying to make with, if you had Rasmussen and or Jeffrey Springs with the team still, then you could say, okay, we have the guns to make this happen. But now it's like, okay, well, I mean, can we really catch up to the Rangers now? Can we really catch up to the Orioles now? Can we really catch up to the Braves and all these other teams now? I know the Rays are, higher up in the standings and record wise, but it just doesn't. This is the Rays. They're always looking towards the future and the present at the same time. They don't go all in very often or ever. So
they don't go all in. No.
While some of these other teams like the Rangers, new ballpark, big money players. Yeah, let's go all in. Let's get Lucas Giolito. Let's get Lance Lynn. Let's get, fill in the blank. So
it'll be tough.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.